Hey y'all, what's up? What's up? Look, I know I'm late. I know I'm late. All right. I'm just trying to get my earbuds real quick so we can watch this stream without this overlapping audio of this video right here. I know we're late, but we're just in time for Flash to start really soon. So let's do it. All right. Here we go.
They're just doing their thing. And it really was Dave having that fight. And also, around Sandman 9, Dave refusing to be fired.
All right. So they're doing the Sandman stream. Up next is the Flash.
And she said,
"Oh, dude, I missed the Gotham Knights gameplay.
I've been fired." And I said, "What are you going to do?" He said, "Well,
I missed out on that.
2 days painting the next 8 Sandman covers, and then I'm going to send them over to her, and I'll see what she says." And that's what he did. He just made the rest of the Doll's House covers. He did all the covers and sent them over. And what was she going to do? They were brilliant.
Of course, I spent a fair amount of time with Neil fairly recently when we did Good Omens together. So I got used to Neil being on the other side of the camera and close to me, which I liked. But he's sort of creeping ever closer, like a game of Grandma's Clock. Is that what it's called? Where, every time I look around, he's not behind the camera now. Now he's actually standing next to me in the recording studio, narrating the damn thing. I mean, if he gets any closer, we'll have to have an operation to be separate.
I love the fact that I get to work with Michael. Michael and I have been friends since 2010, and we've been working together since 2017.
All right, so
just I get
might
to
as well just work on the thumbnail for this video, right?
him as an actor more and more.
Might as well.
The very, very peculiar feeling of having my friend Michael standing next to me in the studio and opening his mouth, and this voice that basically belongs to David Bowie playing Lucifer coming out of his mouth, and I'm just looking and going, how does he do that? How can that work? And I forget that my friend Michael is also one of the greatest actors of our age. It was an absolute delight. We were incredibly lucky at the kind of cast who came out for Dirk and also who came out for Sandman, because we're lucky in that there are Sandman fans everywhere. And we get to punch above our weight. We get to get Willow coming in and writing The Dreaming because she was a Sandman fan and she wants to write Sandman. We get Michael Sheen, we get Kat Dennings, we get these amazing people coming in and fighting to do it because they love Sandman, and we are so lucky.
Sandman look lit.
Like we said earlier, the Sandman is in dozens of languages.
Really cool,
like
novel books here.
Continuously for over 30 years.
But let me go ahead and work on the thumbnail for this.
But transcends media.
For me, the answer is that I really didn't know what I was doing. And I didn't know what I was meant to be doing, and I didn't know how to do it. And I did it anyway. Mm-hmm. And that just doing it also meant that everything I was seeing, everybody I met, every thought going through my head made it onto the page. And every way that I could tell stories, I was telling stories. I was trying new things. And I think that it hasn't aged and it hasn't dated in probably the way that it should. You can absolutely see places where it's completely of its time, and you can see places where my heart was in the right place, but I didn't have a clue what I was doing. And I think that's fine and that's forgivable, because overall, I think I, along with dozens of astonishing artists and along with people who are unsung, like Todd Klein, our amazing letterer, who did miracles that then nobody notices are there, creating lettering font styles for characters like Delirium or Dream or Desire. I thought I was making something completely disposable. If I'd known I was making something that would last, I probably would have had a lot more attention and it probably wouldn't have worked.
How about the rest of you? Why does it transcend for all of you think?
Like I said, it sort of changed my world, really. It gave me an introduction to things that have had a huge impact on my life and who I am today. And it led me, it is a story about stories. And as such, as Neil said, he wanted to come up with something that allowed him to tell whatever story he wanted. And because of that, it roams across time and space and through mythology and history and Shakespeare. It was such an explosion of the imagination and creativity. And yet at the same time it was grounded in a real kind of edgy, earthy realism as well. So it had something for everyone, but instead of being a kind of jack of all trades, it seemed so specific. And it was just like, it's like when I as an actor working
I'm
on
not sure
Shakespeare,
how
you can
in the
feel-
world this is.
literally
I don't know
feel
how
the
loud
pain
the audio is right now because it's like kind of loud.
because of what
In my,
Shakespeare does in his plays. And reading The Sandman was a similar experience for me. I could
Right.
feel my consciousness getting bigger because of what was in it and what it introduced me to. And because it is
Okay.
about sort of primal, deep things like the dreaming, like reality and concepts like fairy. It of course it's timeless. I mean, it's about the endless, and the story itself is endless, and so it will go on forever.
Speaking from the point of view of adapting it to another medium, what's great about it is that it's doing everything that Michael's just described. It's this enormously, the conceit of it, and I'm not using conceit pejoratively there, but the scale of the imagination, all of Neil's misspent years in libraries as a kid, all that reading is just pouring out on the page in sort of torrent, like a dump tank of ideas.
They're going to be taking their
audio
time.
particularly where we're sticking very close to the originals, is great because we all know where it's discovery is. I mean, when Michael comes in and starts playing Lucifer, I'm thinking, oh wow, I can't wait to hear where this is going to go. And of course, we have all that to look forward to, and the rest of the cast as well. So, hats off to Neil. It's an astonishing piece of work.
Willow, how about you? Why do you think the Sandman endures?
To me, what was really astonishing about Sandman, especially the first time that I read it through as a teenager, was that unexpected people were at the center of the story. I think, we're kind of taught to look to the most obvious figures to be heroes, the politicians, the famous people, all of this. Whereas in Sandman, the guy sitting next to you on the bus could be Lucifer or the King of Dreams. And as such, you get stories about characters who I think were kind of pushed to the margins, especially at the time in other types of stories, right? And now they're at the center. And that makes you look twice at the world around you. It makes you sort of question, who is telling the story and what point of views are we missing and who is unmourned. I mean, that also really struck me, is that, like this came out in the middle of the AIDS epidemic when, a lot of people were trying to push and this terrible thing that was happening under the rug. And Sandman said, no, pay attention. This is important. These people are important. And that was very striking to me.